This is the Hot Take Hockey Podcast with your hosts, Lucas and John Viveiros.
How about the Stanley Cup Finals? Why don't we move into that?
Yeah. So I think just talking about the Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
Florida, Vegas, I think a lot of American viewers are looking forward to this one, two growing markets. I feel it's going to be exciting. I think I was looking at a couple numbers and things online, and specifically Vegas and Florida have been a crazy forechecking team. They're two of the teams that love to dump the puck in, love to create that chaos, hectic kind of vibes in the offensive zone behind the net. And you saw that in Vegas's winning game against Dallas to close out the series. That fourth line, like Carrier, Colasar, they're just throwing around the body. And guys when you see guys like Carrier and even like a guy like Michael Amadio, former Leaf, scoring goals like that, that's classic. So I think you're going to see a physical series. And also, as I talked about on the Stanley Cup Central show, Lucas, it's so ironic that all that criticism of Jack Eichel over the years, and Eichel could get a cup before Connor McDavid. And you know what? Everything right now for me screams Vegas in this series, just in terms of them being the better team. But I'm going to be on that road of just I'm done underestimating the Panthers, and that's what I did against the Hurricane series. Obviously, that take worked out, but that's just been a trend. So you know what? I feel like the one thing, and I'll throw it to you here, is if I'm a Panthers fan or anyone vibing on the Panthers, I'm worried that they're having about a week and a half off here because that momentum stalled a bit. And I looked at the past Cup champs, the teams that actually have more rest going into the Stanley Cup final do worse than the team that's riding hot. And Vegas will be riding hot after a win over the Oilers and a win over the Stars. How do you feel on that?
Yeah, and facing some adversity was Vegas, right? Because they were up 3-0, and obviously when you get to 3-2, it gets dangerous, right? I mean, they were probably thinking we really got to close out here. We can't go back to Game 7. And so Vegas is coming off of that tough series that I guess that style of hockey that Florida had been playing for so long, where it was go, go, go. We got to win the next one. Constant momentum. And Florida, I do agree with you. I think the rust is a question mark for Florida. I'm done underestimating Sergei Bobrovsky. I think he's going to be good to go and ready to start the series. And I think he's going to be as good as he was, as he's been so far in the playoffs. I'm worried about the Florida skaters having the rust. So I think Vegas has got the early opportunity to jump on the Cats to start the series. But overall, man, if I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, which I want to give us both props because we both picked Florida Vegas out of the conference finals.
Yep.
I think Florida's going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I think this is their year, man. I really do. I think Matthew Tkachuk, we talked about it on Stanley Cup Central, and Johnny Lazarus is huge into Matthew Tkachuk for winning the Conn Smythe. I think he was a little bit cold in that Leaf series, but I think he's going to be a huge part of why they get it done in the finals. I back Bobrovsky to win it. I think it's going to be a deep series though. Don't get me twisted. I think it's going to go 7. I really do. 6 or 7 games.
We've been locking the 7-game series. I want the 7 here.
I think this is the one. This is the one. But yeah, it is crazy. The whole Jack Eichel story is crazy because even thinking I never thought Eichel would win the cup before McDavid, and it's going to sound sad to say now, but I didn't think he'd win the cup before Matthews for a long time, right? And it's right there for him. So, I think a key to the series, I talked about it on Stanley Cup Central with Pierre McGuire when we were going a little back and forth, is Vegas has got to move the puck, man. Vegas, because of Florida's forecheck, and you even said Vegas they have a great forecheck as well. But Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo, these guys are going to be counted on to move the puck quickly before those Florida forwards get on top of you, right? So that's going to be a key, I guess, for both sides. But I'm going to highlight Vegas more so in that regard because this Cats forecheck is relentless.
Yeah, and I was also just going to add to that conversation too, just in terms of matchups. And I'd probably pick Vegas's defense just in terms of skill set, in terms of breaking out the puck. But yeah, I don't think they faced a forecheck like the Panthers. So that's definitely going to be interesting in what you're saying. And you know what? I think it's funny that, we're seeing, I think there was a stat that this is the first time in I don't know if it's 40 or 50 years where the two goalies in the Stanley Cup final didn't start for their teams in the playoffs, which is crazy.
Wow.
Adin Hill, he hasn't matched up against as hot of a goalie like Bobrovsky here. So I think when you look at the series against Edmonton, Oilers had some goaltending struggles, and Carolina was kind of switching back and forth. Their goalies played well, but they were switching back and forth. Right now, it's the Bobrovsky show in these playoffs, and Adin Hill, we'll see if he's able to match up against that. But yeah, I think that's where I think a lot of people will look at Florida just on how hot they are. if they win that first game and show that their momentum hasn't stalled here in this little break that they've had, and that they just use it to their advantage with rest, yeah, I mean, Florida should take this series if they can continue that momentum. But we'll see, man. Vegas is riding hot right now. So you're picking Florida in 7. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably ride on that one as well. Florida in 7. But man, I feel like if someone asked me which of these two teams are better and I had more faith in, I would pick Vegas. But it's just like, it's one of those things. Picking against the Panthers the first 2 rounds, I did it. I went against it in the 3rd round, and I got to stick with that. So
yeah,
who's your Conn Smythe pick to wrap it up?
Conn Smythe is got to be Bobrovsky, man. Like, okay, so for Florida, if Florida's to win the Stanley Cup, it's Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
If Vegas is to win it, depending on how close the series is, right? We could have a JS Shiger style Conn Smythe where Florida ends up losing, but Bobrovsky gets it. I think that's possible if it goes 7 and then they're close games, low scoring games. But if I'm going to pick someone off of Vegas right now, let's go with Jack Eichel. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I think he's been solid throughout the playoffs. But they don't have as clear of a front runner as me as Florida does. I think it's for Florida, it's Bobrovsky or Tkachuk. If he scores a couple more big goals. Who would you say is the favorites on Vegas right now, along with Eichel?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I think for Matthew Tkachuk to take it over Bobrovsky, he's got to score like 4 or 5 plus goals in the final, combined with like another 1 or 2 game winners, and then you're really pushing me to have that conversation after the game winners he had in the conference finals. If he adds 1 or 2 more, even like if he adds 1 more overtime winner and with like 4 or 5 goals, I think that could really push him over the edge if like Bobrovsky's not insane in the final.
Mm-hmm.
But for Vegas, man, I'll throw a hot take at you. I think it might not be Eichel. I think the guy that's been really buzzing, if he continues it could be Johnny Marchessault.
Ooh, yeah.
Jonathan Marchessault's been crazy in the playoffs. He's scored some huge goals. He's had a hattie. I think if Marchessault keeps the scoring going in the final, he could be that guy. He could be like that story, like Phil the Thrill. Like, I don't know, man. Marchessault's just been killing it as an OG Golden Knight. I honestly think, like, as a hot take, if Vegas was to win it, Mark Stone hoists the cup, I think he might toss it towards one of the OG Golden Knights and William Karlsson or Marchessault. So we'll see what happens, but Marchessault's my hot take.
There you go. He's had so many clutch goals for them and just big time moments. If you get a chance, if anyone gets a chance who's listening too, check out the quest for the cup that the NHL is producing, man. Those videos and just those episodes, I love them, man. The behind the scenes with the coaches, and you see just what a cool cat Marchessault is. I mean, it's awesome to see.